Yesterday was World Refugee Day, and to mark the occasion, well, Hillary Clinton tweeted the following, quote, "America has always been a nation of immigrants and refugees, and on World Refugee Day, let's reaffirm our commitment to welcoming them." Well, this tweet comes less than 1 week after the CIA Director John Brennan issued this serious warning about terrorists trying to infiltrate the refugee population. Take a look.
We judge that ISIL is training and attempting to deploy operatives for further attacks. ISIL has a large cadre of Western fighters who could potentially serve as operatives for attacks in the West. And the group is probably exploring a variety of means for infiltrating operatives into the West, including in refugee flows, smuggling routes, and legitimate methods of travel.
Now, of course, Brennan is just the latest example in a long list of top intelligence officials warning about the danger about ISIS trying to infiltrate the refugee population. Watch this.
Would that bring in Syrian refugees pose a greater risk to Americans?
I mean, it's clearly a population of concern.
The concern is in Syria, the lack of our footprint on the ground in Syria, that the databases won't have the information we need. So it's not that we have a lack of
process, it's there's a lack of information.
And that obviously raises grave concern as to being able to do proper background checks of the individuals coming into the country.
Yes.
I don't obviously put it past the likes of ISIL to infiltrate operatives among these refugees.
We can only query against that which we have collected. And so if someone has never made a ripple in the pond in Syria in a way that would get their identity or their interests reflected in our database, we can query our database till the cows come home, but we're not going to, there'll be nothing show up because we have no record on that person.
There is some fear that some of these refugees may actually be posing as refugees, but they might actually be Al-Qaeda or ISIS terrorists trying to sneak into Europe or the United States. What do you make of that?
Well, certainly that's a possibility. I mean, you can't dismiss that out of hand. We should be conscious of the potential that Daesh may attempt to embed agents within that population.
Joining us now, Editor-in-Chief of Breitbart London, Raheem Kassam is with us. Also, the CEO of the Hebrew City, Israeli activist May Golan. You have been in Israel, and the same thing is happening in Europe, and now it's happening in the United States. Hillary Clinton wants to increase 550% the refugee population. ISIS says they'll infiltrate it. Every top security official is warning ISIS will infiltrate. You said the same thing's happening in Europe, the same thing's happening in Israel. What have you seen?
Well, unfortunately, what Hillary Clinton is saying here in the U.S. is exactly what's been happening in Israel with the left radical organizations. They have been trying to bring, and successfully I might add, over 100,000 legal infiltrators, who is the majority of them are Muslims. They're bringing them from Eritrea, they're bringing them from Sudan, and basically helping them get citizenship in Israel.
And they get to vote.
Exactly.
And how big is that population?
We're watching, right now we have 150,000 immigrants, and we have to say, I have to explain, Sean, you know, Israel is in the size of New Jersey. You know, Israel cannot take so many infiltrators into her, and the problem is, the biggest problem is that those infiltrators are coming in thinking they should dilute the Jewish majority of Israel. They should change the character, the Jewish character of this nation.
And is a population big enough that it impacts elections? Because that's what's happening here. Democrats are looking for a permanent voting majority.
Exactly.
And that's why they want illegal immigrants. They assume they'll vote Democrat. Same thing?
Exactly, definitely. Listen, those people do not believe that the Jewish country has any right to exist whatsoever. And with the millions that are being funded by the New Israel Fund, that are radical anti-Zionist lefties in Israel, they are helping them to change every possible neighborhood and city in Israel.
And it's the same thing. Because you're outspoken, people attack you. They say you're racist. You're the same arguments against anybody that says that you cannot allow people that have a cultural clash, correct?
Well, you know, the word racist has just lost all meaning to me. You know, we see, like, I can see here what's going on with Donald Trump. You know, they're calling him racist just for wanting to protect the borders of his country. Well, this is the same thing in Israel. I think I and the rest of the people of Israel have the right to protect their homes and its borders. And when they're bringing so many Muslim infiltrators just in the way of trying to change this Jewish country and to help the left radical get voted in the seats in the parliament, then you know that something is very wrong.
You're going to run for the Knesset.
I'm going to run for the Knesset in Israel because I believe that Israel Jews have the right to protect their home.
Let me go to Raheem. Raheem, you're on the ground for Breitbart in London. We've had you on talking about 88 Sharia courts in Great Britain. no-go zones, which you said do exist in spite of people that are politically correct and they don't have the courage to say it. You have talked about, you know, how the refugees have attacked in Belgium and Paris. Explain, you know, is this all part of a strategy of radical Islamists?
It is absolutely a strategy, Sean, and this isn't something that should come as a surprise to us. It's not something that should come as a surprise to Hillary Clinton. I thought she had the best advisors in the world on this, but somehow she seems not to realize that actually even Colonel Gaddafi himself warned that he was holding back a tide of Islamist migrants from infiltrating Europe. And of course, this is exactly what they've used Europe's migrant crisis to do. People have been warning about this now for years upon years, but it does seem to have happened now, at least in Europe, with millions. They always say 1 million. It was far more than 1 million last year that made it into Europe, into Germany.
In reality, what's happening in Germany and all across Europe is the citizens of those countries are less safe, more vulnerable to attack, and it's likely people will die. Fair statement?
That is an absolutely fair statement. It's not a fair statement just in the sense that you're projecting something for the future. This is a statement that's borne out in the facts when we've looked in detail at the German government's own crime statistics from last year.
And Hillary Clinton wants to increase the refugee population here, in spite of our intelligence warning, by 550%. I argue she's gambling with the lives of the American people. Is that similar?
I couldn't agree more. You know, Sean, the crime rate in Israel and in the neighborhoods that have been occupied completely by the infiltrators is so high. You know, you see rapes, you see murders, you see so much violence. And not to mention, you know, the crime rate. We were talking about people who've made terror attacks and swore to ISIS and have said that they are willing to cooperate with Hamas and some with the Fatah. We are watching so many terrorists going with the infiltrators right into these countries, and we know that those people just want to make terror attacks and waiting for the right time. And I don't understand people like Hillary Clinton, but I just want to say that I hope that like here in the U.S. As in Israel, people will not just build walls but also know to protect its borders after the walls are built.
All right, thank you both for being with us. Appreciate it. And coming up next tonight, right here on Hannity.